Hello and welcome. Put the light on. Hello and welcome to today's Daf 32 of Arakhin. And I've already started, so we're going to start with the Mishnah. So the Mishnah says the halachic status of any area that's located within the city wall is like that of houses of walled cities in terms of its redemption, except for fields. So the footnote says, Chutz min hasados, all houses located within the walls of a city, including gardens, bathhouses, and dovecotes, have stated houses within walled cities that may be redeemed within 1 year of their sale. Fields situated inside cities are not considered like houses of walled cities, but are similar to all other fields. The halacha is in accordance with the opinion of the rabbis, which is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda and Sefer Zerayim Shemitah V'Yovel 12:11. Okay, then Rabbi Meir says even the fields are included in this category. With regard to a house that is built in the wall itself, a house built in the wall of a city does not have a status of houses of walled cities. Rather, it may be within any town like house located in an open area without wall. The halacha is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, the Rambam Sefer Zerayim, Shemitah V'Yovel 12:12. Rabbi Yehuda says, the halacha stated is not that of houses of walled cities. Rabbi Shimon says the outer wall of the house is considered the city wall, and therefore has status of a house in a walled city. The sages taught, the verse states, then the house that is in a walled city shall stand in possession of the one who bought it in perpetuity. Leviticus 25:30. I have derived only that this is the halacha with regard to a house. But why is it derived to include olive presses? I'm just going to make a note. Right. I've derived only that this halacha with regard to a house. Where is it derived to include olive presses, bathhouses, towers, dockers, pits, ditches, and caves? The verse states that is in the walled city, indicating that anything situated within the city is included. If so, one might have thought that I should include even the fields that are inside the city. Therefore, the verse states house, which excludes the field, does not resemble a house in any way, and does not contain any items. This is a statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi says, the verse states house. I have derived only a house. From where is it derived to include olive presses, bathhouses, towers, and ductworks, and pits, ditches, and caves, and even fields? The verse states this is in the walled city to include everything inside the city. The Gemara question statement of Rabbi Meir, but isn't it written in house? If Rabbi Meir includes even a field, which is excluded by the word house, a person said that Rav Katina said, actually everyone agreed that the term house serves to exclude a field. The difference of opinion between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda is with regard to a quarry and a sand bed. Chusis Sulam. Rashi explains that the areas are used in the construction of houses. Stones are removed from a quarry, while sand is collected from a sand bed, e.g. a riverbed. On a lake, Chusis as rocky terrain, and Mitsula as a collection of water, which are comparable to a house and a pit, respectively. Rabbeinu Yeshimo Hagola. According to Rabbi Meir, who includes fields based on the phrase that in the city, anything vaguely similar to houses is included, but not actual fields. Conversely, according to Rabbi Yehuda, who excludes fields based on the word house, all of these entities are not classified as houses with regard to the meaning of the word wholesale. But in commentaries, maintain that this is a place where sand is mined for glassmaking, Marina Hananel, in Midrash of Baba Batra 67a. According to Rabbi Meir, such areas are considered similar to houses and are therefore included in the halacha. The Gemara adds, and it is likewise taught in the Bible with regard to a quarry and a sandbed inside the walls of a city. Rabbi Meir says they are considered like houses, and Rabbi Yehuda says they are considered like fields. The mission teaches with regard to a house that is built in the wall itself. Rabbi Yehuda says its halachic status is not like that of the houses of walled cities. And Rabbi Shimon says the outer wall of the house is considered the city wall. Rabbi Arakhin says, and both of them derive their opinion from one verse. Then she led them down by a cord through the window, for her house was upon the side of the wall, and she dwelt upon the wall. In Joshua 2:15, Rabbi Shimon holds that the last phrase should be understood according to the simple meaning of the verse, that her house was attached to the outer wall, and it was considered inside the walled city. And Rabbi Yehuda holds that she dwelt upon the wall means that she was a resident of the wall itself, but not a resident of the city included within the wall. The halacha says that a house in a city whose houses are attached and the rooftops constitute the top of its wall. Some explain this is referring to a city whose outermost houses are positioned extremely close to one another, like a wall. Rashi besik the Dresser on the Torah, or in the first interpretation. Alternatively, the roofs of the outer houses are slanted and extend to the ground and serve as city walls, or second interpretation of Rabbinic Moragola, second interpretation. With regard to a city whose rooftops constitute the top of its wall, or if the sea is its wall, or if it was not surrounded by a wall, from the era of Joshua son of Nun, even if the surrounding wall was constructed during a later period, its status is not like that of the houses of walled cities. Rather, it has a status of houses located in an open area without walls. Even in the case where the city does not have a wall now, because the wall was destroyed, if it had a wall earlier, in the era of Joshua son of Nun, it retains its status as a walled city. That's in the Rambam Sefer Zerayim Hilchot Shemitah V'Yovel 12:13-15. Unlike with the state of a house in a city that is not surrounded by a wall from the era of Joshua, and Nun, even if a surrounding wall was constructed during a later period, is not like that of the houses of walled cities. And these are the houses of walled cities. Any city in which there are at least 3 courtyards, shalosh chazerus, to be considered a walled city, a place must have at least 3 courtyards, each containing 2 houses. By Sefer Zerayim Hilchot Shemitah V'Yovel 12:14, each containing 2 houses, and which is surrounded by a wall from the era of Joshua son of Nun, e.g. the ancient fort Kazra of Sipori, with the Latin castra, meaning fortress or sword encampments. There are variants of the term in the language of the sages: castera, and gastera. It remains of Roman castrum and Masada. There's a picture here in the Steinsaltz. And then of Sipori. So Sipori, there's a little map here. Sipori just south of Yodfat. Sipori is located in the center of the Lower Galilee. No city of this name is mentioned in the Bible, but the sage identified as Kitron. In the portion of the tribe of Zebulun in Judges 1:30, it is therefore possible that the ancient fort of Sipori is in the location of Kitron, which is known as the village of Kitron in Talmudic times. And the fortress Hakra, from the Greek Akra meaning fortress, of Gush Halav, was Gush Halav, and today by its Aramaic name Gish. This city is located in the Upper Galilee in the tribal portion of Asher, approximately 8 kilometers northwest of Safat, and is renowned for its superior quality olives. One of the city's founders was a man called Yonatan of Gush Halav, who assisted in the fortification of the city as functioned as an officer during the war against the Romans. One of the ancient synagogues remain there to this day. An ancient Yodfat, what's Yodfat? Yodfas is identified as Tel Yodfat, to the north of Beit Netofa Valley in the Lower Galilee. Some say that it is the location Jobab mentioned in 2 Kings 12:19. A similar Jobab also appears in the list of conquests of Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria. The city was protected by 3 layered fortifications that followed a natural topography of steep inclines. During the time of the destruction of the Second Temple, it served as a fortress for the rebels against the Romans. And Gamla and Gedod and Hadid Chadar was located in the northern plains, 6 kilometers east of Lod, in the region of modern Ben Shemen. The city is first mentioned in the list of Canaanite cities of Thutmose III from the 15th century BC. It is listed in the Bible among the cities of the tribe of Benjamin in the period of the return of the exiles. From Ezra 2:33 and Nehemiah 11:34. 1 minute. And oh no, what's oh no? Oh no. No, they're known as correct. Oh no. It's located in the northern part of the Central Plains region, 9 kilometers northwest of Lod. Oh no is first mentioned in the list of Canaanite cities of Thutmose III from the 15th century BC, and it appears in the Bible as one of the cities of the tribe of Benjamin, Chronicles 8:12, as well as in the list of the cities of Benjamin where exiles returned, 1134, and Jerusalem, and likewise other similar cities. The Gemara, with regard to the statement of the Mishnah that Halacha states if a house in the city's rooftops constitute the top of its wall, is not like that of the houses of all cities. The sage told when the verse states the house that is in the city that has a wall in Leviticus 25:30, it is referring specifically to a city that has the actual wall, but not merely a wall of roofs. When the next verse states, but the houses of the villages that have no wall around them shall be reckoned with the fields of the country. This is to exclude Tiberias from being considered a walled city, as the sea is its wall on the one side, and is not fully encircled by physical wall. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yossi says, since the verse states which has lower wall, so the note here, Asher lo chomo, which has lower wall, in the vision of the verse that is in the Gemara, both the letters Aleph and Vav appear in the word. In the standard text of the Torah, it is written with an Aleph and Tosfot, although it is pronounced in the same manner as if it were written with a Vav. Either way, the idea is that the word can bear two meanings. It is possible that the Gemara itself is saying that the word can be interpreted in two ways, Rabbeinu Gershon Mohagola, with lo written with an Aleph, according to which the verse may also be taken to mean, which does not have a wall. This indicates that even if the city does not have a wall now, Af al pi she'ein lo achshav, with regard to the halacha of houses in a walled city defined according to its state at the time that Eretz Yisrael was conquered. How so? A city that did not have a wall at the time of conquest by Joshua continued to be an open city with a wall. In fact, there's now a wall. A city walled at the time of Joshua, which is now without a wall, is considered to be a walled city. This halacha is according to the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Yossi, one was Sefer Devarim, Shmita B'Yovel 12:5. But it had a wall before, in the era of Joshua, so none it retains its status as a walled city. The Mishnah teaches. And these are the houses of walled cities. The ancient fort of Sippur and the fortress of Gush Halav, and the ancient Yodfat and Gamla, and Gedod and Hadid and Ono and Jerusalem, and likewise other smaller cities. The sages taught in the Bible that Gamla is in the Galilee, and Gedod is in the Transjordan, and Hadid and Ono and Jerusalem are in Judea. The Gemara asks, what is the Tana of this Bible saying? Are these the only walled cities in the Galilee, Transjordan, and Judea? Abai said, this is what the Bible is saying. Until Gamla in the Galilee, at Gamla Begalil, the commentary on the text follows Rashi understanding that the phrase until Gamla is referring to the size of the city. In other words, all cities in the Galilee which are at least as large as Gamla are considered walled. And likewise regard to Gedod in the Transjordan and Hadid, Ono and Jerusalem, Judea, being alternatively the phrase until Gamla in the Galilee refers to the list of cities in the Mishnah, i.e. the ones which appear early in the list from the ancient fort of Sippur until Gamla and are in the Galilee, whereas Gedod mentioned the Mishnah located in Transjordan. It's for this reason that the Bible does not mention the other cities, and that's in the Sefer Paradise. The modern Gamla is located on the eastern slope of the Golden Heights, east of the Sea of Galilee. Archaeological findings, including a pool and a destroyed city from the 4th millennium BCE, indicate the early presence of a substantial settlement. Although Gamla is apparently in Transjordan, the area was considered part of the Galilee in various periods. If this identification is accepted, then Gamla is not the northernmost walled city in the Galilee, as it may be understood from by statement here, but the easternmost city of its kind. Some identify the Gamla of the Mishnah as Jebel Jamla, near Tebnin in Lebanon, on the northern border of the Galilee, which accords with the by statement. Apart from these two cities, there is the Gamla village in Judea, 22 kilometers north of Jerusalem, which fits with Rav's explanation here. And there's a picture here of an ancient Greek city in Gamla, and an ancient ritual bath found in Gamla. All towns in the Galilee from Gamla southward were surrounded by a wall from the era of Joshua son of Nun, and likewise all towns until Gedod in Transjordan. Gedod or Gedod is identified with Tel Gedor near Alsat in Transjordan. It is possible that this is the Jidderot listed among the important cities of Transjordan in Jeremiah 49:3. There are towns with this name or a similar name, including Gadir, Gederot, and Gedera. In various areas of Eretz Yisrael, e.g. Gedor is in the portion of the tribe of Judah, near Halhor, which is in the easternmost city, were surrounded by a wall. And Hadid and Ona and Jerusalem and Judea were surrounded by a wall from the era of Joshua son of Nun. Rabbi said a different explanation. The Braita is excluding the Mishnah, which mentions these cities. The Braita is teaching that Gamla is referred to in the Mishnah as the Gamla referred to in the Mishnah is the one in the Galilee, excluding any Gamla found in the lands, i.e. Judea and Transjordan. Likewise, Jedod is the one in Transjordan to the exclusion of Jedod in other lands, Judea and the Galilee. In the same vein, Hadid, Ona, and Jerusalem are specifically the cities in Judea known by those names. With regard to those other cities mentioned in the Mishnah, you find since there are no cities in other lands with similar names, it was not necessary for the Tanya and the Braita to state them. The Gemara asks, and is ownership of a house in Jerusalem transferred in perpetuity to the buyer after 1 year, in the manner of houses of walled cities? But isn't taught in the Braita 10 matters were stated with regard to Jerusalem, one of which is that ownership of a house situated in Jerusalem is not transferred in perpetuity, usually 1 year after its sale. The reason is that it is written, and if it is not redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be made sure in perpetuity to him who bought it throughout his generation. Leviticus 25:30. Jerusalem was not apportioned to any single one of the tribes of Israel, but instead is considered common property. Since no one has ancestral ownership of any house in Jerusalem, there is nobody to sell his houses throughout his generation. Rashi and Shittim says on Baba Kama 82b. Some claim that the statement means that the state of a house Jerusalem is like that of houses in open places without walls. The seller can redeem if he wishes, and if the Jubilee arrives, the house goes out of the buyer's possession. Rashi Baba Kama 82b. Jerusalem is sanctified to a great extent than other cities, is that a house inside may be redeemed, even if the seller does not buy it back within 1 year of its sale. Rambam would say for Beit Bechira 7:14. Rabbi Yochanan said the Tana means that ownership of a house may be transferred in perpetuity to any city, like Jerusalem, which is surrounded by a wall from the era of Joshua, son of Nun. But the halacha with regard to such a city is not like Jerusalem itself, since, with regard to Jerusalem, ownership of a house inside is not transferred in perpetuity. Here, with regard to cities similar to Jerusalem, a house is in them may be transferred in perpetuity to the buyer. Rashi said a different answer. Didn't Rav Yosef say in resolution to another difficulty, there were two places called Kadesh. Here too, one can say there were two places called Jerusalem in Judea, and the mission is referring to the one where ownership of houses transfers in perpetuity. There's no knowledge of two places called Jerusalem. Yet, since the state is differentiated between older and newer areas of Jerusalem itself, it is possible that halacha of walled cities do not apply to the part of Jerusalem, whereas other sections were considered like parts of regular walled cities. With regard to cities listed in the Mishnah, it is taught in a Bible that Rabbi Shmuel son of Rabbi Yossi says, "Why did the sages count specifically these cities as those walled since the days of Joshua son of Nun? He counted them because when the exiles ascended to Eretz Yisrael from Babylonia, historical findings indicate that this phrase covers a broad period, including not only the beginning of the return from Babylonia during the period of Persian control, but also the immigration in the Greek period and during the reign of the Hasmonean kings. Some suggest that the strengthening of Jewish settlement is during the Hasmonean period, which is as part of this process. They discovered these cities and sanctified them with kidshoot. In addition to the halacha on the sale of houses, this consecration refers to the statement in Tractate Kelim 1:7 that towns surrounded by a wall are subject to a different level of sanctity than other towns in Eretz Yisrael, in that one sends lepers out of them, in accordance with the halacha of the camp of Israel in the wilderness. Likewise, if a corpse was taken out of one of these towns for burial, it is not returned. The Rashi on Shavuot 16a writes that the manner of consecration of these walled cities is unknown. The Hebrew states that they are sanctified by means of two thanks offerings, a special song and a procession of the Quran as described with regard to sanctification of Jerusalem, Shavuot 14a, based on the Nehemiah chapter 12. The sanctity of the first walled cities was nullified when the sanctity of the land was nullified. Who knows? Apparently, Rabbi Shmuel son of Rabbi Yossi holds that the initial consecration of Eretz Yisrael and days of Joshua consecrated for his time until the exile, but did not consecrate Eretz Yisrael forever. According to this opinion, it was necessary to consecrate walled cities again at the time of the Second Temple period, and only those surrounded by a wall from the days of Ezra were sanctified as walled cities at that time. Simply, the sanctity of those walled cities was negated by the destruction of the Second Temple, and they will require a new sanctification upon the third return. From the Sefer Zerayim Hilchot Shemitah B'Yovel 12:15-16, this question of whether the initial consecration sanctified Eretz Yisrael for its time or for eternity had ramifications and sanctification of Eretz Yisrael in general with regard to the obligation of Terumah and tithe and other matters. Some commentaries differentiate between the sanctity of the land in general and the so-called sanctity of war, which is apparently the subject matter of the Gemara here. It's possible that the sanctity of the land was negated upon destruction of the temple, but the sanctity of the wall was not. See Torah in Shavuot 16a. Upon the exile after the destruction of the first temple, the sanctity of the houses of all cities from the days of Joshua was negated. When Ezra the scribe returned, all cities surrounded by walls at the time were consecrated as Ezra's arrival equivalent to that of Joshua. Just with regard to the entrance of Judah in the days of Joshua, they counted sabbatical years and jubilee years, consecrated houses in walled cities, and became liable in the separation of tithes. So too with regard to their arrival in the days of Ezra, they counted sabbatical years and jubilee years, consecrated walls and houses and walled cities, and were rendered liable in separation of tithes. The halacha is according to the opinion of Rabbi Yishmael, and Rabbi Yosef, Rambam Sefer Avon, Hilchot Beis Bechira 6:12-16, Sefer Zerayim, Hilchot Shemitah B'Yovel 12:15, and Hilchot Terumah 1:5. The Gemara asks,